And hello again. Welcome to the weekend. Welcome to the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience, a show where we sit down and talk about that time in your life where you're finally going to hang up your work cleats and you're going to go into this thing called retirement. And the questions that are there are many. And what do you do with your 401k? What do we do about Social Security? We worry about health care. We worry about having all the legal documents in place. Boy, there's just a lot of questions. That is why we have this show, and that's why we want to introduce you to Marc Oslar. Marc, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Randy. It's a nice day today, and I'll be honest with you. We have had some cold rain in the past. I just don't want that cold rain anymore.
Yeah, 45 degrees and sunny is fine. 45 degrees overcast and raining is not.
Absolutely.
It's a whole different deal when there's clouds and when there's sun. Well, we want to give some sun to your retirement here and hopefully have a nice sunny day for it and a nice sunny retirement. But the big thing that we talk about here on this show is how do we do that and how do we get the help that we need and what do we do about things like stock markets? So I'm going to start today with what I think is a major concern for people, and that is, what if I retire and the market goes back right away? It takes that dive that we all know that it probably will at some point, but what if it happens right when I retire? So Kiplinger did an article which is pretty interesting. They took two brothers, and we're going to call them Sam and Dave, all right? So Sam and Dave have a lot in common. They both have $500,000. They're both going to spend the same amount of money. The difference is Sam retires in the year 2000, and Dave retires in 2010. There's 10 years between them. So after 10 years, Sam, of his $500,000, after going through 2000 and 2008, those big market declines, he's only got $94,000 left. So he has really taken a hit. But Dave, on the other hand, well, he retired in 2010 when the market was going up. And after 10 years, he's got $874,000. So look what the market did to these two guys. So what could we have said to Sam? Was Sam unlucky? Was Sam unprepared? Was there something we could do for Sam? Because I hate to say that, it's just a luck of the draw, but there's got to be more to it than that, Marc.
There's always more to it. I mean, of course, everybody wants to be Dave. Let's just be serious about this. When the market finally finished dropping and started to come back in 2009, it has recovered so well. We haven't added actual correction in 16 years. Mm-hmm. Now, that's wild to me. And we've also had two consecutive years of the S&P being up over 20%. That hasn't happened in 70 years. Okay, we're staring down the barrel of maybe having a third straight. And so, just having this conversation and realizing this, that's great, that's fantastic. But if you're going to retire on $500,000, do you want all your money just hanging out there in the market in just general positions? Mm-hmm. I mean, you can get strategic about it. There's a lot of different things you could do here, Randy, don't you think?
So is it just a matter of me looking at you and saying, Marc, I've been a kind of a 90-10 or an 80-20 investor my whole life because I've had time. I understand that I've got to cut back. Is it just a matter of being simple and saying, let's cut back to 50-50 or 40-60 or 30-70? Is it a matter of finding a formula and that's it? Is it that simple?
If you're looking for a retirement plan, if you're looking for comprehensive financial planning and you're looking for those types of things, then you're going to tell me 80-20, 90-10, 60-40. Great. That's fine. Let's run a report for you. Let's run a report, identify some things about those brokerage areas. But I need you to rethink how you're looking at things. Because if you're 65 years old and you're looking to retire, we do this rule of 100. 100 minus your age tells us probably what you should have maybe in a position of risk, right? So we're talking about the market, maybe 35% in the market. And then at the same time, 65% in some preservation tactics, maybe in the bank, maybe in some annuities and things like that. Those are generally the conversations we like to have because, okay, and you can look at it and say, okay, well, wait a minute, but what if I don't mind a little bit more risk? Okay, that's fine. Let's have that conversation. But if you're retiring on $500,000 and you're acquiring income from that $500,000, I'm probably going to err on the side of caution and talk to you more about preservation tactics, just simply because there's a risk factor involved about just being out there in the market and knowing you have to withdraw from those funds. You got to be more strategic about it. So a lot of times we look at several different things. Getting strategic is important. So sometimes on those platforms, we might look at structured notes, because on structured notes, they're alternative investments. They could have income plays or they could have growth plays. There's a lot of different things, Randy. So for us, we stand by our little acronym PIG, preservation, income, and growth. And those are the main players. That's what we're looking for. We're looking, what do we need to preserve here, right? What do we need income from? How do we derive that income? How do taxes and inflation impact that income? And then growth. What do we want for a sensible growth?
So I'm glad you brought up the idea of income, because, I mean, we've talked about this in the past. The average couple in retirement they spend about $6,000 a month. And they're going to get maybe $3,000 in Social Security. So that number probably needs to go up with inflation as you go through your retirement. But if the market goes down, does that change your need for $6,000 a month? No. If it rains or it snows, does that change your need for $6,000 a month? No. So I think it's important to say, let's develop your income. Let's make sure we've got that income there. And then whatever else happens, that income's coming in and it's not dependent on something like a stock market.
That's right, because we've talked about this on the show in the past. We talked about sequence of returns. And that's exactly what happened right here. With Sam and Dave, they both had different times, right? Now, let's just say Sam and Dave happen to have the same returns over a 10-year period of time, but those returns happen in different years than each other, while taking out the same amount of money. Would they have the same amount of money each at the end of 10 years? The answer is no. And I can reflect that and share that with you when you come into my office. I can go over that because, and again, you're retiring on $500,000. If somebody told you an annuity was the worst thing possible, or just run, or do this or that, you know what? Don't listen to them. Annuities can be a good fit for folks in certain situations. If they're looking for income, if they're looking for preservation tactics, that's what they can provide for you, because you know what? They've been around forever. The old pensions of the world, those are immediate annuities. That's what they are. Okay? So don't let somebody just drive you away. If you have a certain amount of money, we need to have a conversation strategically about how we build the income for you.
Well, if you're worried about the stock market, what if we were to be able to sit down and say, what income do you want in retirement? What's going to get you what you want to do in retirement, and solidify that? And then if these things happen outside, then you really don't have to worry about it. And I think that's the kind of place we all want to be able to spend in retirement with confidence. If that's what you want, if that's how you want to feel, give Mark a call. Give us a look on the website, moretoretire.com. Moretoretire.com. Bottom of the page is a place for you to put some information in there and say, Mark, I am really interested in talking about the stock market. I am very worried about it. That gives us a starting point right there. You can also call 984-300-1984. 984-300-1984. Set up a no-cost, no-obligation look at your retirement. Let's give you more information about your retirement, what you've saved, what you want to do. Put the two together. moretoretire.com. Now, you mentioned annuities, and I'm glad that you did, because I've got an interesting guy here who had, I think, a really good take on this. This is Kevin Lum. He's a financial planner. He's got a great YouTube channel, and he was talking about the idea of using an annuity in retirement for income.
Annuitized income won't maximize wealth, but it can maximize spending confidence. The average person with an annuity spends twice as much money as someone with a similar portfolio invested in the market. Now, the portfolio owner ends up richer, but the annuity owner feels more secure, even if they end up with less money.
Isn't that interesting? A person who has an annuity spends twice as much as the person without. And I think that could probably qualify as well for a person with a pension. If you know that the bucket of money is being filled up every month, you spend with a little bit more confidence, don't you, Mark?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let's just take a tale of two different people you're working with. Let's say in column A, you've got someone like Fisher Investments. You've seen those commercials. Mm-hmm. Hey, we're fiduciaries. We're always fiduciaries. We're never the other guy. Well, guess what? I'm B, the other guy. Why do I like to be B? The answer is simply this. I'm not just a money manager. We do comprehensive planning here, and that does involve insurance products. It does involve tax strategies where we have to reach out to CPAs. It does involve estate planning where we have to reach out to attorneys. We bring in the experts that we need, sometimes trustees, depending on the situation of what a person might need or require, based on maybe they have to sell a property, they have a taxable gain. We involve all the experts because we want the proper comprehensive financial planning that's involved here. Now, you bring up annuities. Yes, I'm Guy B. I'm in column B. I'm going to recommend annuities at times when I think there's a need for it based on if a person tells me, I just have all CDs, or I have money just sitting in the bank. I have money in treasuries. And if they're super conservative like that, and let's just say it's non-qualified money and it's just sitting there, well, guess what? They're paying taxes on all that money. And if they're not using that interest, they're still paying taxes on it. You can do a non-qualified annuity and that money will grow tax deferred. There's a lot of different advantages when you discuss these things. Now, here's another example. Person has a fixed amount of money. They need to build some type of future income for themselves. They haven't done it. They don't have any pensions set up. They're only thinking about Social Security at this point. They're 8 or 9 years away from retirement. Well, let's have this conversation. Let's discuss this. How can we look at this and say, would you like a lifetime income rider as opposed to annuitization? Because Kevin Lum brought up annuitization. Mm-hmm. Annuitization is an immediate annuity where it just turns into income and is no longer an asset. That's what the old pensions of the world are, and that's what sometimes people pick as a way to draw income. But what I'm suggesting is, why don't we look at a lifetime income rider through a fixed indexed annuity or fixed annuity? The reason why I bring that up is because you can have both. You can have an income that you build for either you or you and your spouse. And of course, it's going to be a haircut if you're doing it for you and your spouse, but you can have that preservation tactic and that lifetime income built in for your lifetime or you and your spouse's lifetime. But if you both pass away and there's a balance remaining, that balance goes to the beneficiary. So it's not an immediate annuity, it's a deferred annuity with a lifetime income rider built in.
When you think about, we've talked about having two different people, and apples and oranges here, two different people. One spends in retirement with confidence, and the other person is worried about running out of money. Does that mean that the first person has $10 million? Not necessarily. That might mean that first person has secured their income that is going to come in each and every month, no matter what else is going on. That is having confidence in retirement. If that sounds like something that you would like to have, give Mark a call. Go to the website. Let's start today. Moretoretire.com is the website. As you go there, just spell it right out, moretoretire.com. Down at the bottom of the page, a lot of people, what they go in there and say, Mark, I heard the radio show. I'm interested in talking about my retirement. Great. Let's start right there. And Mark will reach out to you. Or you can reach out to us. It is 984-300-1984. It's a no-cost, no obligation meeting about your retirement and talking about what you've done, what you want to do, putting the two together, and making that money last. 984-300-1984. All right, so the World Series is over. I watched quite a bit. It was a pretty good one this year. And the Dodgers came out on top. And the one thing that I got to see that I really did want to see is Shohei Ohtani. I had not seen him all year, and all I can say is, wow. I mean, that guy was something else. I mean, a pitcher that can hit. I mean, that's really unusual, very unique. I mean, the guy's in the lineup on days he's not pitching. It's amazing. And I'll tell you what else is unique about him is how the Dodgers are paying him. Most players of his caliber would be up there $8-10 million a year or maybe even more. Ohtani's getting $2 million a year from the Dodgers, and that gives them the ability to hire and have other players, the salary cap and all that business that goes along with that. And then he's getting paid $100 million or something like that from his endorsements. The idea of deferring his salary to later. And I mean, he's going to get paid a lot more later in his career and probably even more like a Bobby Bonilla deal after he retires. So the idea of deferment, of doing something now to help yourself later is something that you do every day, Mark. I mean, this is in many different ways is I've been saving my whole life. I've been deferring some pleasure for retirement, but that's not where it begins or where it ends, is it?
No, I mean, I was having a conversation with a potential client the other day. This person happens to be 57 years old. They have an IRA sitting on the sidelines, and then they have, between their IRA and then they have the majority of their stuff in their 401k and a future lump sum pension. So here's the thing. I can't do anything about the current 401k and the lump sum pension in the future because it's with her current work provider, and she's 57.
Oh, okay.
Not until she hits 59 and a half can I do something with it. But the IRA I could do something about. So we had a candid discussion just about, where they're at. And she was telling me, I feel like I need some type of income plan in the future. And I said, okay, well, this is where the conversation happens. So I can't do anything for you for 2.5 years on this other money other than maybe look at it and tell you about what positions might look good for you. But this money over here, we can build an income plan for you now for your future. So if you want to look at an income plan right now on this IRA, for retiring at 65 or 67 years old, depending on what is the best fit, and also making it an income plan for you and your husband. And these are the conversations we were having. So these are the conversations I want to have with folks that are in advance. So if you have 5 or 10 years before retirement and you have nothing else planned for income other than Social Security, we probably should have a conversation, because if you don't have that plan in place, then let's get a plan in place for you. Let's have a conversation about it.
One of the other ways that I feel people defer is they, instead of taking Social Security at 62, they see that the bigger check comes later at 67, 69, 70 years old. So you defer that till a little bit later. I can see that happening. But the opposite can be true as well. As long as you're talking about 401ks there, you can take a little bit of a tax hit now to help you later in life, because you said at 59 and a half, you can start accessing that money. Maybe the way you access that money is to start to move money from your 401k over to a Roth, and that can help you out later tax-wise when you get into your 70s.
Absolutely. And these are the conversations we have here. So we have not seen someone like Shohei Ohtani since Babe Ruth, right?
It's probably true, yeah.
And Babe Ruth wasn't allowed to do both. So he pitched like the first half of his career, and not the first half, maybe the first 5-6 years, and then finished out hitting after that, because in the American League, you couldn't do both back then. And obviously those rules have changed since. But, having these conversations and just trying to understand, okay, that's Shohei Ohtani. Well, how about a couple of examples? Deferring income. Bobby Bonilla. He's still getting paid by the Mets, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Yeah. He's on the payroll for, I think, a few more years. Well, there's another person. There was a deal done for Allen Iverson many years ago, and Allen Iverson is due for a large lump sum payout in a couple of years. He's been waiting on this thing. They did this for him because they knew he was young, and he had a lot of people that were borrowing money and taking money from him. And so that's another example. Well, we want to do the same thing. We want to set you up so you have income later on, because if we do that, then we're accomplishing the 3 things we talk about: preservation, preserving what you have now, then preserving it for the future, then building an income plan for you in the future, that income, but also preparing for taxes and inflation. Now, how do you do that? There are lifetime income riders that could prepare you for inflation as well. They can have increases in their values, and that's another discussion we should have. And what do taxes look like now versus the future? And then how do we grow the rest of the money sensibly, and then also maybe build in income plans from whatever is necessary there too as well. So then we take into account taxes. You brought up inflation. You brought up required minimum distributions. What if you have a lot of money on the sidelines, that's all IRA money, and you're not going to maybe use that money for income, and you're worried about required minimum distributions in the future? Well, 73 and 75, depending on what age you're at now, it's depending on when you were born. If you're born 1960 or after, then that means that you don't take an RMD till 75. You have time to do some conversions to Roth IRAs, right? And we can have that conversation. Also, if you can't contribute to a Roth IRA during your lifetime, in addition to that, you could also do a backdoor Roth IRA where you just open up an IRA and convert it to a Roth. So all of these discussions we have, and just making yourself available to understand there's different ways to look at this, then just have an open mind. We can have that conversation here at the office.
Yeah, I think that as we started the show today, we told you the story of two guys, Sam and Dave. One, was he unlucky or was he unprepared? If that market were to dive next week and just keep going, instead of, many times it goes down 300, 400, 500, 600 points and you go, wow, and then bam, it goes right back up again. What if it didn't? What if it kept going down and 600 became 1,000 and 1,000 became 2,000? Are you just unlucky? Or are you unprepared? Did you not have a plan for that taking place at this point in your life? So let's have that plan. Give Mark a call. Use the website. Let's sit down and talk about that preservation part of your portfolio. What do you want in that market so that if it goes down, you don't have to change your lifestyle in retirement? Moretoretire.com is our website. Moretoretire.com. Go to the bottom of the page. There's a place for you to put some information in there. Mark reaches out to you, starts the conversation. Or 984-300-1984. 984-300-1984 for a no-cost, no-obligation look at your retirement. Now, as long as we're talking about 401ks, let's talk about this a little bit. We've got a couple of options when we get to retirement. What does this 401k do for me? It looks really good right now. It's as high as it's ever been. But what does it do for me? A 401k can give you growth. A 401k can give you preservation according to where your money is, but a 401k doesn't give you income. It doesn't do that. That PIG, that pig that we talk about, preservation, growth, but not income. So we look at this and we say, okay, I could leave this in my employer's 401k and just let it grow and pull money off it. Or I can move that money over to my own IRA, and maybe that gives me more advantages. Mark, what are the ups and downs of both of those ideas?
And this is a conversation that comes up often. Folks might bring a 401k statement to me or a 403b, and sometimes on those statements, it says, based on your projected value, this is what the income could look like. Mm-hmm. But they're not really telling them anything other than that. So the question is, what kind of income is that going to build? Because folks get nervous when they hear, oh, I need $1.4 million to retire. I don't have that much money. Mm-hmm. Let's just have a conversation about expenses, about debt. Because, what if you pay off your house? That reduces the need for a certain amount of income. Just budgeting, those types of things. So obviously, when you have a large amount of money in a 401k, let's just say it's $800,000. What are you going to do about it? Mm-hmm. When you retire, what are you going to do about it? What kind of income are you going to need? Because, Randy, we talked about Social Security. I usually take 20% right off the top when doing planning because I feel like if the government doesn't truly fix this problem by 2032 or 2033, they will have to reduce everybody's Social Security by at least 20% based on the projections of what they've talked about. So we should just plan that into the future so we can plan around that. But if you're 59 and a half or you're under 59 and a half, but you've left your employer and you have a 401k sitting on the sideline, we can discuss what you could do for income on that 401k in the future or if you need income now. So let's have that conversation because, like I said before, if you're looking for income sources, there's several different ways to do it. I have folks come to me that had a CD that came due, and we discussed income based on a structured note. There's types of structured notes out there that can derive income, but they are based on certain parameters around the market, but it's not directly in the market. It's based on the bank borrowing your money, but they're usually the banks that are quite large. We can also build it around annuities for income based on lifetime income riders. Lifetime income riders provide this particular type of income at whatever age you turn it on, based on you or you and your spouse. Let's have a conversation about if that's a need there. Then there's other ways to do it. You can look at, REITs. There's several different things we could talk about. And then in terms of growth that we can show you that we believe will help you, because on the investment side of the business, that's a fiduciary standard of care. So where we're going to work with for you, we're going to work for a percentage, and we work for that percentage based on managing your money. But if you sit money in the money market with us, we're not going to charge you a fee on that.
Well, one of the things about having your 401k and just leaving it there is you probably have maybe 15, 20 choices in there. Move it over to your own IRA. The world is your oyster. You've got an awful lot more choices. There might be fees in there that you didn't know about, and maybe you can do something about lowering your fees if you have your own IRA. And then again, as Mark was just saying, the one factor that your 401k doesn't give you is income. And moving money over to your own IRA and having a strategy for income along with that, there's a lot of advantages there and a lot of discussion when it comes to what to do with your 401k. Let's dive into it. Give Mark a call. Give the team a call. More2retire.com is the website. Down at the bottom of the page, a place for you to put a little bit of information in there. Mark and the team will reach out to you and just start the conversation. No cost, no obligation. 984-300-1984 is the number. 984-300-1984. Again, a no cost, no obligation meeting about your retirement, giving you a little bit more clarity about what you're in for and how to plan around some of these headwinds that we talk about each and every week. We're going to take a quick break here, come back and talk a little bit about something that's going on Wall Street right now. It's earnings season. They estimate how they think they're going to do, and then they say, okay, here's how we did. Are you doing the same thing in your retirement? That's next on the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience.
A simple piece of paper. It's something we use every day. For the most part, it does what it's designed to do. It sits there flat on your desk as a placeholder for information. But with a couple strategic folds, suddenly your flat piece of paper becomes an airplane and flies across the room. Your 401k is kind of like that flat piece of paper. It just sits there as a placeholder for your money. Marc Oslar can show you those strategic moves to take your 401k from just sitting there to creating the income you need for retirement. Call today for a free no-obligation meeting. 984-300-1984. That's 984-300-1984. Or online at more2retire.com.
Welcome back to the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience. Online, you can find us at more2retire.com. We also have a podcast. If you're listening to the show and you got to get out of the car, you want to hear a little bit more, we've got a podcast where you hear this show and past shows as well. Just look up the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience in iTunes or Spotify. All right, so earnings season. This is where Wall Street looks back and they say, okay, here's where we thought we estimated where we would be at this point, and now we have the data. Here we are. If it's good news, market goes up. If it's bad news, market goes down. All right, so I got to believe, Mark, as you have these meetings, some people will come in and say, well, I think I'm going to get 10%, or I think I'm going to live, I don't think I'll live to 95. I think I'll live to 85 because that's where most of my family lives to. People estimate things as they go into retirement. And I wonder, Mark, if sometimes those estimates can hurt them. Have you seen that happen at all?
Of course. I mean, just being in the business, when I first got involved in the business, was on the insurance side of the business going back right near 25 years ago. And, just building over time and putting everything together about what we do. I've seen a lot of things change. I remember annuity applications were 2 pages. I mean, you should take a look at them now, especially if you're replacing another annuity. Oh my goodness, they are page after page. It's like signing a mortgage.
Right.
But, the truth of the matter is, it's to protect the public. Mm-hmm. That's what they want to do. It's all about suitability and obviously the C word, compliance. We love compliance, don't we, Randy?
Oh, they're my favorite people. Good people back in that room.
So I will say, in earnings, people try to project how long they're going to live, but let's just try to make sure we don't outlive what we need, right? So let's prepare. Let's talk about the 3 things we talk about: preservation, income, and growth. I'm going to add a little wrinkle in here, okay? On preservation, we're talking about what we want to preserve for the rest of our lives and maybe have a legacy, maybe pass on some money, stuff like that. So we understand that. But in preservation, I would also say what's kind of a curveball that impacts inflation and income, because that's the second one. Income is the potential need for long-term care. So having the conversation, have you done any planning around this? Do you have a long-term care insurance plan? Have you done any hybrid products? There are life insurance and annuity products that help mimic either traditional long-term care where it might be like a actual product based on the need for a long-term care license to sell it, or it could be a hybrid product that is considered a living needs benefit. Sometimes the living needs benefits are a little bit more flexible. So having this conversation and understanding, did we plan for that too? Because that could derail the rest of the plan as well. And then sensible growth. So I've got clients that they have let's just say a bunch of annuities, life insurance, bank money, and then they have this little brokerage portfolio. Let's just say you just have this little brokerage portfolio and you just want to make a little bit more growth on it. Well, let me run the report, diagnose it, and share some information. We'll share standard deviation, which is that wobble effect. We'll share the beta, which is the scientific risk. And then we'll discuss, do you have a healthy of enough standard deviation versus the amount of risk you're taking with the beta? And then we'll have a conversation about correlation, things moving in the same direction, or do you have a moderate degree of correlation? So several things come up when we're talking about this. So market returns, let's not rely on market returns based on what you need for income. Let's rely on market returns for our growth portion. We got preservation, income, and growth. Let's rely on that for the growth portion, but not for the income or the preservation. Let's build those in.
When we talk about preservation, income, and growth, I want you to think in your head now, do I have all the three of those factors happening within my money right now? And if you're just saving for retirement, maybe you don't. Do you think that you need to be completely out of the market when you get into retirement? Maybe your preservation part of your brain is not giving you enough growth that you need in your retirement years. Do you need 10% growth? Maybe you don't to achieve what you need to have a successful retirement. Maybe there's a different number there. And do you have the income that you need? Many times people will underestimate what they need. Suddenly they'll get into retirement and go, I need another extra $1,000. So that's another conversation with you and Mark. Give him a call. It's 984-300-1984. 984-300-1984 to start the conversation. There's a no-cost, no-obligation meeting with Mark to talk about your retirement, your concerns, your questions. Let's get them out on the table. MoreToRetire.com is the website. Pretty easy to remember. Bottom of the page is a place for you to put some information in there. Mark and the team will reach out to you. Let's get the conversation started about your retirement. And one of the things I think must be great about your job, Mark, is when somebody comes in and they don't think they can retire. They're really nervous about this meeting. They go, I don't know if I saved enough. I don't know if my money is in the right place. I don't know anything. And then when you run all the numbers and you sit down, you say, you know what? Green light, thumbs up. You can retire. And I think that's got to be a great moment. So for those of you who are on the fence right now, let me give you a couple of stats. If you work 40 hours a week over your lifetime, you will work 90,000 hours. 46% of people believe that work is literally making them sick. 77% of people say it's having a negative effect on my mental health. The idea of stepping away from work can be a real positive thing, but Mark, sometimes we got to get the permission to do it because we're just so unsure. When somebody comes in and has that moment where you kind of say, you could do this, that's got to be a fun moment for you.
It's what I live for in this office. You know, I live for Christ, but when God has given me the opportunity to work here and do this, I love it because it's a part of what He designed for me to do for folks. Mm-hmm. So I love it's that exciting moment where I can share it and I can say, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
I see it, I show it to them, and the responses are all over the board. They have, really? Okay, I feel better. All right, possibly. Or what do you mean I can retire? Are you sure about that? You know, and so it's just there's a lot of fun.
It can't be real. Yeah.
It's not possible.
Right.
My face is turning red. No, it's truly, I love having that conversation. Hey, we can do this, but let's plan for the what ifs as well. Mm-hmm. So I've had clients where we planned for what if they got laid off or they decide to retire a little earlier or something. And you know what? It'll work out. We'll make sure that we share the data with you. We just have to follow the program and follow the way we do it.
Think of the whole new attitude that you would have if, let's say, for instance, you thought you were going to retire at 65 when you hit Medicare, and you're 64 now. You go in for that meeting, and Mark looks at you and goes, hey, green light. You've got the money to do this. Now you make a decision. You either do it or you go back to work and you got a whole new attitude. And I think that's a powerful position to be in too, because you think about how work is changing so much now. They're moving people, maybe you're an older worker, so now they move somebody in who's 30 years old, and now they're your superior, and you're going, really? I trained that person. I mean, it's changing so much. So having the ability, Mark, to walk away, I think also makes you feel kind of in control, makes you feel good about yourself, that you could go anytime you want to.
Oh, yeah. I've got clients that retire in their 50s, see them you actually just live to do what they want to do, go out and fish and crab and all that stuff and just have a great time, right? And then I have folks that say, I had a phone call the other day that somebody wants to retire at 70 years old, but they're 69 right now. So, okay, I get it. We'll turn on Social Security, max it out, all that great stuff. Let's just have a conversation of where you're at. I want to know where you're at, and then when I figure out where you want to go, because let's just say you're in your 50s and your 60s, you probably have the time to think about how you want to travel and do these different things. Let's build that into the plan. Let's have that conversation. And sometimes, the majority of people, I would say at least half the people come in my office do want to retire sensibly because they're just tired of work.
Yeah.
They're just tired of it. Yeah. So let's just figure it out. If you build something, we can build around it and work with it. So if you still have certain things in your plan that you want to keep, I get it. Let's just work around that and get an income plan built for you. Preservation, income, and growth. Get that income, prepare for inflation, prepare for taxes, preserve what you work your whole life for, and then let's grow it sensibly. Let's figure out some growth points and how we can do that for you.
We got a couple of minutes on this segment, Mark. This might be a really good time to go into the 5 steps to more. And if somebody gives you a call or goes to the website and say, I really do want to dig down a little bit on my retirement, what happens? Tell me the process that you go through.
So, number 1 is that treetop view. That could be a combination of several things. 2 is you're discovering your retirement desires and what you're trying to do. Then 3, we're just implementing the plan. That's really key. So the first 3 steps are, how do we get from step 1 to step 3? You sharing information, some data with me. Go onto my website, moreToRetire.com. That's TO as well. It's not the number 2. I'm not cheesy. So moreToRetire.com. And you go there, and in the top right corner is a secure upload button. You want me to review your statements, review your positions, share a Morningstar report with you and go over those things with you, diagnose several different things. And then we just have a conversation about your overall situation, what your plans are from now through the future, the next 5-10 years. And let's build something for you, because this is important. So steps 1 through 3, that's what we're doing. And once you become a client, it's the rest. You've got step 4, which is just adjustments and changes over the years, because things change. If you're not willing to change, then we're going to have an issue, because I'm always going to want to share with you what I think might be the best possible situation with you, making some adjustments or switches. I shared the short story book, Who Moved My Cheese? I think everybody should read that thing, because in life, things change. And if you don't shift or change, it's going to change you. So let's prepare for that. And then last but not least, you're always going to have step 5, which is ongoing support from us. And we're going to be there for you. So if you also go to my website, you have plenty of resources. You'll learn more. You can see our podcast right on our website. You can see some of the TV commercials that I've done on our local ABC and CBS. So let's just have those conversations. And you know what? I don't charge for my time. I can. I'm certainly allowed to do so, but I don't. I make money 2 different ways. I make it by managing your money in the market. We charge a percentage fee for that. Or we have insurance products and I make commissions for those. All the other planning services that we do for you, we don't charge for. We might involve other financial professionals that do charge for those things, but we bring it into the fold as a full comprehensive plan.
Well, go to moreToRetire.com. That's the website. You can see all of that printed out right there, the 5 steps to more. moreToRetire.com. Give Mark a call. Let's talk about your retirement. Really get down to some planning now. See what you're in for. Is there a tax problem in your future? Are you going to have a difficulty with Social Security? Are you struggling with some of this? 984-300-1984. 984-300-1984 is the number to talk to Mark and the team. And moreToRetire.com, the website. All right, so if you want to take a plane flight now, you got to pay a little extra for an extra bag. You pay extra to sit by the window. I mean, it's like you pay extra for everything. Well, There's an airline in Canada called WestJet that's taken that to a new level. They have now disabled the recline feature on all of their seats. If you want your seat to recline, you have to pay an extra fee, if you can believe that.
It's unbelievable.
It's crazy. I mean, every turn in our lives, they're coming up with a new way to charge us. Now, the financial industry is not guilty here. There are all sorts of things that I know that you discover when you do an analysis of 401ks and different investments, is you kind of can uncover that kind of stuff. What do you find is the biggest offenders, Mark, that the things that people have no idea that they're paying? There's money that's supposed to be going to their retirement that's going to somebody else's retirement.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's have that conversation, okay? So first and foremost, being on a flight, let's just say I was flying American Airlines not that long ago because I was going to Miami. Just so happens, you need to pick the main cabin because they're going to just hit you with just about everything, put you in the last group for getting on, all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But it doesn't do you a great favor. You move up from like group 9 to group 7, okay? And then you go to get your seats, and so happens to be that there are no seats that are free. They were all that you all had to pay a fee for these seats, and they weren't fancy seats, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, you're telling me if there was a fact I couldn't recline to, now we're going to have some serious issues because you know what? When I go home, I've got 2 recliners, and I know they're not aesthetically pleasing, but those things get me through some tough times, especially watching sports and stuff. So let's break it down. All right, we're talking about fees.
Yeah.
Let's discuss Advisor A. And this time it's not Fisher Investments. It's a different one. It's a broker-dealer. And they've decided they're going to charge a fee for managing the person's money because they're on the BD side, the broker-dealer side. They're also on the registered investment advisor side, but they're regulated by a BD. So let's have this conversation. They can charge a fee, a percentage fee, and it's probably going to be less than what we charge. But you know what I noticed from those advisors? They're pushing certain mutual funds. And this person showed me one of the mutual funds they were pushing, and the expense ratio was 0.95%.
Ooh.
That's pretty darn high.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to push a bunch of funds. And we're also going to work with more ETFs than we are going to be mutual funds. But that's an example of where you're saying to yourself, that's high. So if we did some internal stuff for you, let's just say some of our ETF models with Market Guard, the internal expense ratio is in the neighborhood of about 0.1. Well, that's a whole heck of a lot less than 0.95.
Right.
These are some areas where we can save some money for some folks. But the fees you're going to see are just the fees that mostly are those external fees that we charge for managing the money. But believe me, it's worth it. We'll hit a homer for you. We're going to work hard. We're going to give you good planning advice, and we're going to try to help as much as possible. Everybody's situation is different. I can't tell you what's the best fit for one person is the fit for everyone. It's not. It's all customizable. But would we like to save you money on fees? 100% yes.
Well, when you're sitting down watching football on a Sunday or even on a Saturday when you're watching college football and you see all these whales and you see all these ribbons and you see all these financial commercials, guess who's paying for those? That'd be you. It's coming out of your accounts, and that's some of the stuff that's buried in there in the fine print of your prospectus. And sometimes it takes somebody like Mark to find out what that is and say, you know what, we can reverse some of this, limit some of this, and put more of this money into your pocket instead of somebody else's. It's worth sitting down and knowing what those numbers are. Give Mark a call, give him a look on the website. We'll do that for you. MoreToRetire.com is the website, and 984-300-1984. Well, they talk about all the money that's going to be changing hands over the next 20 years. Baby boomers and our parents and money coming down. They think there's going to be something like $90 trillion that is going to come down to heirs over the next 20 years. Well, Bill Perkins wrote an interesting book, and the name of it is Die with Zero. And he said this money that's coming down isn't being transferred. It's not just money. This is trillions of unlived experiences. He said people are so afraid of running out of money that they're hoarding wealth and they're not using it, and it's going down to the next generation. He says, why do you want to be the richest person in the graveyard? That is an interesting way to think about retirement, Mark, to say, I've saved this money for the last 30 to 40 years. Yes, I want to give some to my kids and I want to give some to my grandkids, but I don't want to go through retirement so scared that I don't want to run out of money, that I'm going to cheat myself out of a great fourth quarter of my life.
Less than 10% of people that come to see me, probably less than 5% of people that come to see me are looking for what we call generational wealth.
Mm-hmm.
I can still work with it, but it's not common. Then you do have a large majority of people that want to leave some type of legacy. The question is, how much of a legacy do you want to leave? Where I'm at is this. I'm not the generational wealth guy, okay? I'm not the guy that wants to do that for myself, for my family, for the future. What I want to do is I want to help people as much as possible, and I want to live life. So if you ask me to take that trip or leave that money to my family, I'm going to take that trip.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd advise you to do the same thing too, because you know what? You're not going to live it. And yeah, do you want to be the richest guy in the graveyard? No. You think you're going to hook up a trailer and take it with you? I'm telling you, the Lord's not going to let you do that, okay? Mm-hmm. But maybe we should listen out to see what we're supposed to do in this life. And I think it's mostly to help people, and you need to live life. You need to experience some things. You should. You've earned it, okay? Some folks try to penalize themselves. I haven't earned it. I haven't done enough. Forget about that. It's not about earning it. You've worked hard. Go live your dreams, and let's plan around that. So when folks come to me, let's do this in your 50s and your 60s, maybe even in your 70s. But when you get in your 80s, most of the time folks don't want to do that stuff anymore, and I get that. I mean, there's a lot of things that come along with that. Just like when a person was asking me about drinking alcohol, his wife has wine or has an alcoholic drink or whatever, but he doesn't. The reason why is because of the medications he takes, and I get it. It has an effect on you. Things change as you get older, and maybe you're not going to be able to do these things forever.
Well, one of the things I remember as a kid, you remember those trucker hats where guys would walk around and it would say, "I'm on a fixed income." I always laughed at that, and I said, I ever want to be that person. But the other person that I think I do want to be is the guy with the trucker hat that says, "I'm spending my kids' inheritance." That one I like.
I love that.
I mean, I think it's important. Surely you love your kids, you love your grandkids, and you want to send some money down. You want to gift money down. This is that time of year when you can have that conversation. You want to see your grandchildren and your children enjoy some of that money. I totally get that. But I don't really want to be that person who's scared to spend money because I'm afraid of running out of money. And that is the key of what we talk about here on the show today. Give Marc a call. Let's build that retirement plan for you that has the preservation and the income and the growth that makes you confident to go into retirement and enjoy your retirement years. This is supposed to be that time for you. Let's build the plan that supports that. MoreToRetire.com is the website. MoreToRetire.com. There's a place down at the bottom of the page for you to put a little bit of information in there. Marc reaches out to you. The team reaches out to you. And let's start that conversation. Let's talk about your retirement and what you're worried about and concerned about. You can also call 984-300-1984. 984-300-1984. And let's get the conversation going. Let's put the papers out on the table and really get down to it. 984-300-1984. We thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a great weekend. Check out the podcast on iTunes or Spotify under the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience. Have a great weekend.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Marc Oslar Retirement Experience. Marc Oslar Retirement Experience is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Marc Oslar Retirement Experience are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risks, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing carrier. This radio podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be considered as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Marc Oslar Retirement Experience is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute legal or tax advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein are provided by third parties that have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Marc Oslar Retirement Experience. Market Guard is a firm that provides investment signals as well as portfolio allocation recommendations for a wide variety of model portfolios. Market Guard does not offer advice or enter into fiduciary relationships. Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA.